Okay, hello everyone, my name is Anthony Gilbert. I'm a clinical research physiotherapist at the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital in Stanmore, and I'm here to talk about a study that we've carried out at the RNOH on the usability of the Mujo shoulder system. This is a small piece of work which forms a component of a larger programme of research funded by Innovate UK in collaboration with Mujo Mechanics and the University of Manchester. I want to point out at this stage that the Mujo machines and technical support were provided to the RNOH by Mujo Mechanics. Mujo had no involvement in the design of the research, analysis of data or presentation of the results, and this research was carried out independently of Mujo by the RNOH. So to introduce the shoulder devices, I've got a video here I'm going to show you. These are shoulder weights machines that target rehabilitation of rotator cuff muscles. This video isn't working, but essentially works through two planes of movement, through abduction and through rotation, and a combination of both. And you sit in the machines and you work your external rotators and the external device and the internal rotators and the internal one. These machines have sensors in them which track the movement and real-time data. You'll see, that should be a video, but you'll see at the front there's an iPad which shows that in front of the patient. This project was step 2 of Mujo's innovation journey, and it was just purely a usability study. As physiotherapists, we know that the management of shoulder pain is a burden on the NHS, and often the rotator cuff muscles of the shoulder are weak. There is an ongoing challenge to meet the demands of this patient group, some of whom may struggle to engage with their rehabilitation. The Mujo system was developed with this in mind to offer a technology and connected solution to musculoskeletal rehabilitation. And the role of the RNOH in this was to independently conduct a clinical usability study and support the development of the quality report. Within the implementation science literature, we know there are lots of examples of successful technology being taken up in clinical practice. There are also many examples where it's not been taken up. And a review found that for technology to be taken up into clinical practice, first of all, the technology needed to be good enough, and secondly, the technology needs to be acceptable. We therefore offered patients the opportunity to try the Mujo machines, and following their treatment, we interviewed them about their experience. We use normalisation process theory as a theoretical framework to focus our attention towards the factors that might lead to Mujo being taken up into clinical practice or not, and whether or not it was acceptable to these patients and clinicians. We interviewed 10 patients and 7 physios. We gave out a Likert scale questionnaire, with 5 being extremely high and 0 being extremely low, asking patients and clinicians to rate the machine and the app. The bottom line results of this usability study is that the Mujo system was acceptable to patients and clinicians. Clinicians found that the machine worked well for strengthening of the rotator cuff, but was limited when it came to functional or kinetic chain rehab. It was seen as having a very important role in supplementing this rotator cuff strengthening and rehab. Patients really seemed to enjoy the use of the app. I'm going to see if this video will work. You can see there's a little green dot in the screen there which shows the track of the movement of the shoulder as it moves through there, and patients really found this quite helpful. So clinicians would often stick patients on the machine so they get that visual feedback, and it really helped to engage them in their rehabilitation. Clinicians really appreciated the fact that when patients live locally, they can come and use the devices when they please, particularly patients who are inpatients having rehabilitation. They would just come up and use it independently. But clinicians did find that when patients couldn't access these machines in the community, they would tend not to ask them to use it. So to conclude, clinicians identified situations when the use of the Mujo was acceptable. This was particularly when rotator cuff rehabilitation was required or when they could access the machines in their own time. The use of the app enhanced the patient's experience, and when it was used, Mujo reduced the one-to-one treatment time with the physiotherapist, as patients would often spend more time on the machines in between sessions and they could spread that out. To get the most out of the Mujo devices, access in the community would be beneficial. There seems to be lots of funding geared towards the development of technology such as Mujo, and there doesn't seem to be as much funding for translational research beyond the initial development. We know that more research is required to prove the effectiveness and cost effectiveness of the Mujo, and the scope of this research is just purely in the usability, not in its effectiveness. The software for the iPad evolved over the course of the project with input from patients and clinicians, which in part reflects the favourable results from the study. This development in partnership has undoubtedly made the connected devices better, and we would propose that evaluation of technology within a pathway is the way forward, and more likely to positively impact on patient care. And I'm very happy to discuss afterwards at the podium. Thank you very much for listening.